Today, I thought I would share some of the most valuable lessons I have learned in over 20 years of giving readings to people. Good afternoon, this is Lucky Links. People have been asking me where I've been, if I would do more videos. Today I thought I would share with everybody some of the most valuable lessons I've learned over all the time that I've been doing readings for people. For those of you who don't know, I am a professional psychic. I have been for a very long time. I started out in academia. I started out as a teacher. And one of the things that I learned very early on was while I was teaching, I was a college professor in Chicago at several universities. And I learned very quickly that what was happening in college was not expanding people's creativity, but it was shutting them down. I had to do something else. And it just so happened that when I quit teaching and walked away from teaching, people started to ask me to do this for them. It wasn't long after that that I started to lecture on 19th century fortune-telling practices at historical museums across the Midwest. For those of you who are interested in doing this sort of things, I have some lessons that I hope maybe you can learn from. And they're things that I wish people may have told me. I was very interested in supernatural. I was very interested in how the human mind works. And I wanted to know how far I could go in learning this stuff. At that point, I started seriously studying how to use cards, experimenting with cards, experimenting working with people, studying diaries of people who had done this before, seeing what they did, learning from doing. And I learned we don't have to have it all figured out when we start. We learn as we go, and we learn as we do. And it's very important when you want to learn something to dive in and actually do it. We always are learning. So if you want to learn this, the best way to learn it is to do readings for people. You are going to learn the most by doing. I learned it was very important to learn about mythology, old stories that taught lessons. There are symbols that show up in cards, in tarot cards. There are analogies that show up. There are lessons that can help people, and they're very old lessons, and they're lessons about the same things that we're dealing with right now. If you study old stories, mythology, things like that, you're likely to learn a lot about how the mind works, and you're going to learn about analogy, and you're going to learn the mistakes that humans have made in the past, and it's going to help you to understand better the mistakes humans are making right now. Which brings us to the most important thing that you can do if you want to do this, learn more about it, see what your connection is to other people, learn about the human mind. Realize that psychic stuff is really a very small thing, and what we think is psychic is really very small compared to, as I've learned, what our capabilities really are. Our minds are so much bigger and have so much more potential than just psychic stuff, and really we do ourselves a disservice if we think the biggest thing we can ever become is a psychic. It really is something that's more natural to who we really are. We make such a big deal about it, and it's really this small when you step back and look at the bigger picture. Learn about what you're really capable of. Don't stop just at being a psychic. And there's so much more that the human mind is capable of. So take some time to learn more about it. 20 years, I've learned all about hypnosis, all about how the mind works, all about how we set up certain contexts, how we respond in certain contexts. I've learned about the archetypes. There's still so much more to learn. Never stop learning. The next thing that's really important is avoid pride. Just because you can sit down and work with someone and get some information that seems to be secret or seems to be not there, or you seem to be getting from unusual means, doesn't mean you have a whole lot of power. The minute you start thinking you're all seeing, all knowing, I guarantee you that is the moment that something will come in behind it and show you that you aren't as big as you think you are. Take good advice. Learn from other people, and learn from people who have gone before you. In all sorts of things, in everything, learn to take good advice. If you learn to take good advice, if you learn to spot good advice, you'll get better at being able to give good advice. This next one is one of the most important things that you, if you really want to do this, need to know. And that is, use these tools to grow and get bigger and do bigger things. People keep asking why I have not been around. Well, because I am making much bigger moves in my life and doing much bigger things, because the skills that I've learned doing this have taught me how to do other things, and they've taught me to set bigger goals. If you really want to take advantage of this stuff, take this thing and use it as a tool to set goals, to get better, to remove your blocks, to see what you're really capable of. And don't just stop at like cards. Learn bigger things. One of the things you're going to learn when you sit down to work with people, you may spot or see a problem they have and go, this is the problem I see. And they may go, well, how do I fix it? Well, you're going to have to learn how to help people out of the problems that they make if you really want to get good at this. So that means you have to learn all sorts of different skills to help people to problem solve. You'll start to be able to solve bigger problems for yourself and other people, and then you'll start to go in bigger directions, and then you won't just be a psychic anymore. You'll be something much, much bigger. This next one, I cannot emphasize enough. Be creative in all that you do. Learn to be creative. Learn to express yourself. Learn to be adaptable. Create. If you cannot express yourself, one of the most valuable lessons I've ever learned, and this was taught to me by my master, was if you cannot express yourself, you can't manifest anything. Learn different creative skills. Learn different arts. Learn to express yourself in different ways. The more you do that, the more adaptable you'll become. And if you learn that alongside with helping people solve problems, well, there's no end to what you can do. This next one goes along with the last one. Find healthy outlets for expressing yourself. There's too many people today that are hung up on negativity, getting stuck in the past, getting hung up on their junk, and going over their junk again and again and again and building it bigger and bigger and bigger. Learn to release things and learn to express yourself in healthy ways. If you allow yourself to be thrown off because something upsets your calm, well, then you're not going to be very helpful when you're trying to help other people. But if you learn to express yourself in healthy ways, you'll be able to get the junk out so that when you're actually helping people, you can be calm and focused on them, which is where your attention should be when you're trying to help people. Okay, this is the last one, and this is the most important one on the list, and it's one of the ones I learned very early, and that is, it is not about being right. So many people get into this and they sit down and they'll start reading for someone and they'll say, well, this is the truth. This is what's right. And then the person will go, well, that's not happening. This is not about being right. You may see something in one way. Someone else may see something in another way. And if you know how to do the stuff where you can figure out what the lessons are in stories and mythology that I talked about in the beginning, you'll learn analogies. You'll learn how people interpret things. You may be seeing a relationship that's not working. They may be clinging to it for all that it's worth, thinking it's the greatest thing in the world. You can't sit there and beat them over the head and say, this is a bad relationship, you have to get out. You have to see where the person's at, and if it's really maybe the lesson they need to learn now, then maybe that's the lesson they need to learn now. So it's really not about being right and being the one that has the answer and telling a person what to do. It's about seeing where a person is, what they need to help them, and being the best you can be to try to provide the best support that you can give to help them work through whatever it is they need to work through. I hope you guys have found some of these lessons, if not all of these lessons, valuable. I am Lucky Links, as always, wishing you good fortune in all that you do. If you guys want to get a reading from me, or you want to get your astrology done, or you just want to send me a message and tell me some kind of video you want to see, message me, conjurehope@gmail.com, or you can text me or call me 779-302-8009. Wishing you guys a fantastic new year and a fantastic, wonderful, joyful day.